everybody, hope you're all well, and for anyone that's been watching the video for the last two days really, I'm just about to leave the job I was on yesterday. I've come back today and just done a load of more filling, rubbing down, just preparing these walls, which are all looking good. It's all coming together now. A little bit of cutting in up there, but what I've also done today is I've given all these door frames another spray with the grey coat quick shot, and everything's had an eggshell now. It's a low sheen eggshell, so it's not going to dry very glossy, but it's all wet at the minute. All spindles have had another one, so hopefully I've caught most of that on there. There's always going to be bits you miss, it's just the nature of the game really. And then I'm going to go now, and then tomorrow I can take all this off, and then I can stain the tops really. In hindsight, maybe I should have stained the top first and then taped it up, but it would have been sort of almost instantaneously having to put the tape on after the stain had gone on. I didn't want to chance anything not coming out too well, so it's only a little water-based stain. It shouldn't take long just to stain the handrail. So that's all looking good. All the staircase stringers have all been done again. This has all been done. The under storage has all had a quick coat of the eggshell satin Egyptian cotton. So tomorrow it's really just come back, cut in and roll these walls again, give that a paint, and maybe just a bit of touch up on there with the handrail. So hopefully I should be out of here tomorrow, but if not, it doesn't matter. I've got all of Friday morning to get out of here anyway. So I've now left that job. I didn't film anything there today because it's really all what you've seen yesterday, so I'm not going to keep filming the same stuff. So I'm off now to my second job, and I've got I've got 4 ceilings there to try and spray, and I'm going to take the air bow home with me. I'm going to put that whip hose back on again, which I took off yesterday, and I'm going to put the extension on again, which I took off yesterday, and I will be putting some PTFE tape around it to try and really seal that. And a couple of you suggested that in the comments, I think, as well, so thanks for your input. And but yeah, that's something I was going to try anyway. I won't be beaten. I won't give up that easy. So we'll take you home now, and come on, it's a funny turn in this, sorry, bear with me. So yeah, I'm going to go home now, sort the sprayer out, make sure it all pumps through. I'd rather do that in my sort of utility bit in my little man shed there really, because the job I'm going to, they've had some brand new carpets put down here and there, and the last thing I want is a bit of an explosion. Right everybody, I'm back in the man shed now, and going to try and sort out this sprayer, put the whip hose back on and such stuff. Let's get my gun up here, and the whip hose there. Anyway, I'm not really sort of videoing this so I can show you me changing the whip hose. I just thought I'd have a bit of a chin wag really. Where's the spanners? Spanners are there. As I was driving home, I was just thinking of jobs I've done in the past. I suppose it's because I'm doing this YouTube. You know, I'm obviously always looking for something to say, always looking for something to keep people interested, keep me coming back to this channel really. And when I first sort of started on, I'd say my first real job really, not real job, but I'd always had other jobs where I was working with a governor and he was picking me up in his van and did all that sort of lot really, and I was always in the trade, but it was always for someone else. And then I got a job on a property maintenance firm where suddenly I had my own van. How old was I? Early to mid-20s I suppose. So suddenly I had my own van. I got a job sheet given to me every morning, and then you just went and did your work. And I think mobile phones were just really starting to take shape then, you know. They weren't like they were today, and it was like 10 hours to charge one up, and then you only got a bloody hour's talk out of it. So there's no way people could get hold of you all day every day. And we used to have to buy the phone cards. Was it Mercury cards? And you put them in the phone box, and you could ring in for your next job there. So there was no way anyone could trace you or track you. It was fantastic, to be honest. But the firm I worked on, it was all commercial work, and I'm sure I've said this before, but a lot of it was commercial work. We used to do a lot of railways, we used to do a lot of pubs, and we used to do a lot of shops, a few housing associations, but it was all commercial. There was no private houses, and which sort of meant really that you didn't have to be very good at what you did really just to get a job done, just to get off the list. And some of the so-called surveyors that worked in the offices, obviously, they would book an allocated amount of time for each job, and then you'd go and do the job. So if you got to one of these jobs and you'd say, this is going to take 3 days, and the surveyors only put it down as a day or 2 days, obviously he's going to get a kick up the arse at his end. So anyway, I was at this pub, and it was right next to, it was on Mile End Road. It was right next to the Royal London Hospital. Pub might have even been called the Royal London or something like that. And up in the accommodation, as you came down the staircase, there was a big sort of wall, you know, like the big flank wall at the bottom of the staircase. It had a window in it. And I'd been sent there just to a bit of crumbling, bit of making good and redecorate. And when I got there, I took a bit of this wallpaper off, and loads of the plaster just fell off, like a big strip as well, because it was at the bottom of the staircase. You know, it was probably about like a 10-foot drop of wall. And I hadn't been there long. So I phoned the surveyor up and said, look, this needs more than what's on the sheet here. You know, what do you want me to do? Of course, the surveyor doesn't want to then sort of say, oh, you're going to need another day or two on that job. So he's just basically said to me, get it done. Whatever it needs, get it done today. It's got to be done today. And I'm taking that as an order. I'm not taking it as, because I'm young and naive, I'm not taking that as he's messed up on his quote here, and now he wants me to get him out of trouble. I'm just thinking, I've got to get this done in the day. So all I had on the van was, I had a bag of Artex, and I had some lining paper because I knew the job might need some lining on it. So what I did, can't believe it now when I think of it, how naive was I? I'd stripped this wall back, all this plaster had come off, and what I did was I mixed up the Artex and I laid this wall on, right? Let that go a bit. I'm just trying to think of exactly what I did now, I don't want to tell lies. So yeah, I laid this wall on with Artex as if it was finished plaster. Went then had a cup of tea, let it pick up a bit. Then I got the lining paper and I set it into the Artex. I can't believe I did it. I can see myself now doing it. I remember I must have used paste as well, but obviously everything was soaking wet. And I put this about 2 big drops of lining paper, because there was like a sash window there, so it was like 1-2 drops up to the sash from the corner of the wall. So I did the lining paper, let that go a bit, then I had to paint it. So I had to get the roller, and I remember as I'm rolling it, obviously the paper wants to come back with a roller, and I couldn't push too hard with the roller because it was going in and out of the Artex. And I did it, you know, I finished that day and left it as that job. I never went back there to see it. I never heard nothing back of it. And you just think to yourself, my God, like how much pressure. Like to do it now at this age, I would have just said, like, it ain't gonna happen, mate. Find someone else to do it. It either takes me 2 or 3 days, or I don't, you know, 2 or 3 visits, or I don't do it at all. But when you're young like that, you just do some stuff. They used to tell you to do some crazy things. Even if there was, for example, there was a roof leak. Me and another bloke was up on this roof, and it was like a box gutter, and it was leaking. And we rang the surveyor up, and I think his name was Ian. We said, Ian, this box gutter's leaking. We need to take all the tiles out and like refelt it and put it back. And obviously he hadn't allowed for that. He's just allowed for 2 blokes for a day on the roof. He said to us, go and get a roll of felt, just kick it out along the gutter and just stamp it in with your foot. That'll do. He did not have a clue. Not a clue. So well, I mean, we didn't do that. We just basically said to him, it ain't going to happen, because I was on there as a roofer, plasterer, multi-trade, because I'd done flat roofing before. So I was on there as a felter and a plasterer and a multi-trade. So we'd get sent to all these different places. But some of these surveyors, they were absolutely useless. They really were. I mean, one bloke, Jim, bless him, probably not with us anymore. He was the buyer, like he was the one of the sort of so-called respectable ones in there, one that you could respect. We needed to do some tarmac repairs. So we needed some of the cold lay stuff. So Jim had to source it. So we had to ring up and say, Jim, we need, I don't know, 6 bags of cold lay tarmac, cold tarmac. So we waited there for the phone call after, and he rang us back. And I mean, this is no word of a lie. This is a grown man, like probably would have been in his 50s at that time. And he rang back and said, I can't find this gold tarmac anywhere. We said, what? No, not gold, Jim. Cold lay tarmac. He's like, oh, right, okay. And so that was the sort of people you was dealing with on these firms. And we're just young lads. And we think that all these older people know better. Mad, really. I mean, great firm to work for. Really good fun. But it just makes you, I was just thinking on the way home, like some of the things that I've done and I've seen done, and some of the bodge jobs, you know, blokes puttying, trying to putty windows in, and it's really, really bad. I mean, one of these jobs looks so bad. I forget his name now, the bloke that put the putty in, but this other bloke turned up and he went, fuck me, has he put that in with a catapult or what? So it was just a load of young lads, really, with a few older blokes that knew what they were doing, all being given completely different jobs, like 3 or 4 different jobs a day. So 1 minute you're repairing this, or you're fixing that, you're sent there. I mean, I got sent to one railway station to look at a boiler, a big boiler as well. It was Royston train station. Boiler wasn't working or something, so it was an emergency. So obviously I was the nearest one. They said, just go and have a look at that. So anyway, I've gone in this boiler house and I'm looking at this boiler. I literally haven't got a clue. And I've mucked about with something. I remember turning things on, turning things off, pushing the ignition button, and this boiler fired up. And I thought, oh, brilliant, I've done it. So obviously rung up. Yeah, it's all sorted. Oh, brilliant, nice one. That night, the plumber on call, because we had a multi-trade on call, and there was always a plumber and an electrician on call. The plumber on call got called up to that station because I'd done something to these valves. I'd shut something off, and apparently the boiler was, I don't know how exaggerated this was, but it was almost going to blow up like a bomb because it was sealed. I'd turned things off, and this boiler was just getting hotter and hotter and building up pressure. And so it was dangerous, really. They used to send us to do anything just to get that emergency response time ticked off so they could get the money. But anyway, enough waffling. I'm going to put this hose pipe on now and hopefully get this sorted out so it pushes through properly. Right, this here valve sprayer is okay, but there's a bit of a problem storing the cable, wrapping it around it. It wants to keep falling off. So this is where I think we're going to need a few modifications. Times 7 plus the width of the handle, times that by the length of the cable. I love it when a plan comes together.
What this food talking about now?
And then all of a sudden, it was cold, dark, and 5:15, and the thought of going to this other job to start spraying again is a big no-no. So I'm going to give that a miss tonight again. and I will get in there at some point this week, but it won't be tonight, that's for sure. But anyway, thanks for watching. I might see you again tomorrow. I'm just back at that other job finishing off, so might not be anything to film, but don't want to bore you. But if I don't see you there, I'll see you on the spraying job with the new modified Ebal sprayer. Have a good evening, everybody. I'll see you again.